Zohran Mamdani has defeated now Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa in the New York City mayoral contest. Joining us right now is Ed Skyler. He's the head of enterprise services and public affairs at Citi. Previously served in the Bloomberg administration for both terms as deputy mayor for operations. And the big question now, I would ask, is how you think the business community works with or doesn't work with this mayor, and to the extent that a number of wealthy folks and other businesses have threatened to leave the city, whether they do. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't think companies are going to throw their toys out of the crib and say, because I not agree with this person ideologically, that we're just going to leave. I think they're going to look at the business environment as they have over the last couple of years. And I think that when you look over the last 5 years of what's gone on in New York City, is that we've lost our competitive edge. Crime is still 25% higher than it was before COVID. The office vacancy rate is 5% higher than it was before COVID. 900,000 people have left over the 5 years. That's the population of San Francisco. So I think the business community looks at those trends and then thinks about what are the policies that the mayor-elect is going to enact and how will that impact the business environment. But also what they really look at is what we saw firsthand is that in many ways, the job of the mayor is a management job. It's an operational job. The mayor is going to take control of a 300,000 person workforce. It's a $125 billion budget. It is a $1 trillion economy. And how he manages those agencies, builds a government, balances the budget, which right now is forecast to have about an $8 billion deficit for next year. Those are the things that the business community is going to be watching. His policy proposals are aggressive. They require a lot of help from Albany. As gifted as a political communicator as he is, it's not clear he'll be successful in getting those through. But at the end of the day, he quoted Mayor LaGuardia last night during his acceptance speech. Mayor LaGuardia had said that there's no Democratic or Republican way to clean the streets. I think we're going to find out whether there's a capitalist or socialist way to clean the streets.
Well, that's the question, Ed. And, we had Robert Frank on just yesterday. He was talking actually about how when you look at the math, so much of the financial industries, financial services professionals, insurance professionals have ultimately moved to Texas, actually more in Texas than in New York now, in terms of thinking about, we all often talk about New York being the capital of capitalism. Even if Zohran Mamdani cannot pursue some of the most ambitious of his planks around taxes, corporate taxes and individual taxes and the like, how do you think the rhetoric changes the dynamic for business in the city?
Well, I think he has some constituencies that he needs to reach out to. And I think he had an opportunity last night to start doing that. I think he was very much talking to the room. But I think he also has to remember that while 50% of the people voted for him in New York City, which is impressive given a three-way race, 50% didn't. And he has constituencies inside of government and outside of government that he needs to reach out to. Within the government, he's going to manage the police department, which is experiencing attrition at high levels. And he made very, to put it politely, statements in the past that were not supportive of policing and the police department. So he needs to build bridges internally within that agency. Secondly, he's now the mayor of the largest Jewish population outside the state of Israel. And there are a lot of Jews that have, strong emotions about the result. And so it's another group of people that he needs to reach out to. And I think that, whether you're in government or you're in the private sector, these are things that are important. And he has an opportunity over the next couple of weeks as he builds his government, as he goes out as mayor-elect. The campaign is over. It's now time to turn to governing, and it's now time to focus on the nuts and bolts of running one of the most important and dynamic city of the world.
I mean, Ed, you started in a very reasonable fashion, just presenting the facts and not in an emotional way. Mayor Bloomberg, I know he was a Republican, but I think of him more as a centrist and almost a Democrat in certain ways. For some reason, I think Democrats are almost whistling past the graveyard and like turning, twisting themselves into pretzels to minimize his prior comments and to say, well, he was a young man when he said he wanted to seize the means of production. You've been very matter-of-fact about what he has proposed. Why aren't more Democrats frightened, like not Republicans, but like average people about what, in terms of anti-Semitism and everything else? I mean, this is a walking, quacking duck that they don't call him a duck. They say he was either young or you ran a distorted campaign. I mean, this is frightening to a lot of people.
Well, I think that he brings an ideology to the job where most mayors do approach it as in a less partisan, less ideological fashion. Certainly Mayor Bloomberg did. Remind you, he was a Democrat before he switched parties.
Right.
And he's going to bring that ideology, and he was unapologetic about it yesterday. But if you look...
Is there any way this has a happy ending, Ed, in your view?
Absolutely. I think you have to think about the inherent strengths New York has as a magnet for talent.
So in spite of him, you're saying?
Well, I'm not going to give up on New York. I spent 15 years of my life working for the city and also in the private sector.
It'd be nice if you didn't try to have incredible headwinds for a city.
He has a great opportunity to build a great team around him. Most New Yorkers, whether you voted for him or not, that live here like I do, raising a family here, are going to be cheering for him because they want him to be successful and they want the city to be successful. We may not necessarily support his tax policies, and I do believe there is healing that needs to happen and unity that he needs to help catalyze, given the comments he's made in the past. He has the opportunity, now that the campaign is over, to govern. And a lot of times we do see people who govern, govern differently than they campaign. He may or he may not. Time will tell. I'm an optimist. I believe in the city, and I hope he has great people around him. I hope Jesse Tisch, who's an excellent police commissioner, takes his offer to stay. That would be a great statement.
But we're not even starting from a great place. That's where you started. 900,000 people left, that crime's up 25%, the occupancy rates are still down. So we're starting from here and instituting, by all accounts, if he did what he wanted to do, these are wrong-minded policies, almost across the board. Would you acknowledge that?
I don't agree. I agree with the problems he's identified, that they need solutions like affordability. We financed $2.5 billion of affordable housing in the last couple of years in New York City. I don't agree with all of his solutions. But he has touched on a theme that's been rising in New York City politics over the last 20 years.
Identifying a problem and addressing it with all the wrong solutions. Andrew, sorry, go ahead.
Hey, Ed, I'm curious if you would if we had a prediction market here around Jesse Tisch. I think to the extent that the business community is going to be supportive of him, it's largely around the view of Jesse Tisch being in that role to run the police department, and where she's been improving the safety situation in New York over the past several years, despite some of the numbers that you just reflected. If there was a poly market for a year from now, do you think Jesse Tisch is in that role? Do you genuinely believe that this mayor not only wants her in that role, but wants to support her in that role, such that she will ultimately feel comfortable that the decisions that are being made are not around either reallocating resources or defunding the police in ways that he's described in prior moments?
Well, I think very highly of Commissioner Tisch. She's a Bloomberg alum. She's done a phenomenal job. She has integrity, intelligence, and passion. She has a decision to make. They have to have, I don't know what conversations they've had, but clearly they need to get on the same page. I've seen in city government when that police commissioner-mayor relationship fractures. We saw it with Rudy Giuliani and Bill Bratton, and I've seen it work great, like we saw with Michael Bloomberg and Ray Kelly, who drove crime down, protected the city from terrorist attacks in the years after 9/11. So it's a really critical relationship. They absolutely need to be on the same page, and if they can't get there, then hopefully he'll find somebody else that's competent and qualified.